Hello, students. Today we are going to start with the second chapter from the book Beehive, that is the sound of music. As you know, the title is the sound of music. That is the sound that comes out from the music. I guess you will find the title very interesting. Here it's about a girl called Evelyn Glennie. She listens to sound without hearing it. She was not able to hear the things. She was deaf, and I'm sure you must be wondering and confused that how one can hear the sound without hearing. So the beginning lines of the chapter: God may have taken her hearing, but he has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear, she feels far more deeply than any of us. That is why she expresses music so beautifully. So it's about Evelyn Glennie, and you can make out from these lines that God has taken her hearing, but she was given something very extraordinary. She was given back something very extraordinary, and that is what we are going to read. All right. So let's begin with the chapter. Rush hour crowds jostle for position on the underground train platform. A slight girl, looking younger than her 17 years, was nervous yet excited as she felt the vibrations of the approaching train. So you can make out from these two lines that we are talking about a girl who is 17 years old, but she doesn't look like a 17-year-old, and she is nervous yet excited. Why? As she is standing on a platform waiting for the train, and now we have to see where she is approaching, where she is going, and she felt the vibrations of the approaching train. That means the train is approaching towards her and she is feeling the vibrations. So we can see that the scene is, the chapter is beginning with the scene of a train platform, and where there is too much of rush. People were there, as we all are familiar that in a railway platform many people are there, and Evelyn is standing at the railway platform waiting for the train. She is going somewhere, and just as she feels the vibrations, she realizes that the train is about to come. She gets nervous and excited both at the same time. So this is the train that in which Evelyn is going to sit, and she'll be going to London. So now continuing with the reading. It was her first day at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London, and daunting enough for any teenager fresh from a Scottish farm. So Evelyn is got admission in the prestigious Royal Academy of Music, which is in London, and she is feeling little frightened. It can be little frightened for any teenager who is just from a Scottish farm. Here, you can say Scottish farm, like she is from Scotland. So you can make out that she is from Scotland, and Scotland is not that urban, it's not that advanced, and so it's a rural kind of place. So she is from Scotland, and it's very scary for a teenager from a farm kind of land to go to the main city, London. But this aspiring musician faced a bigger challenge than most. And what was that? She was profoundly deaf. So this aspiring musician, we are talking about Evelyn Glennie. So this challenge is nothing going to the academy, but rather the challenge that she is actually going through is that she is completely deaf. Evelyn could not hear, as you can make out, and this was a bigger challenge for her compared to moving from a rural life to a fast life from a small village. Evelyn Glennie's loss of hearing had been gradual. So now the author is talking about her deafness, that it didn't came at once. It was gradual. It was in a slow process. It was in phases. Her mother remembers noticing something was wrong when the 8-year-old Evelyn was waiting to play the piano. They called her name as she didn't move. I suddenly realized she hadn't heard, says Isabel Glenn. So, Isabel Glenn is the mother of Evelyn Glenn, and she remembers that how they came to know of her deafness. She recollects one incident, when Evelyn was 8 years old and she was waiting for her turn to play the piano. But the people over there, when they called her name, she did not respond. That means she could not hear. And her mother at that time realized that Evelyn is not responding. That means she is not able to hear. And from there, it was obvious that she has some problem. For quite a while, Evelyn managed to conceal her growing deafness from friends and teachers. Conceal here means to hide. She was trying to hide her deafness, maybe because of that people will bully and people will call her names. So she was trying to hide this fact that she's facing some problem in hearing. And it was a gradual process. So in the beginning, when she could hear partially, she managed to hide it. When she can hear, sometimes she can hear, sometimes she cannot. So she managed to hide this disability from her friends and teachers. But by the time she was 11, her marks had deteriorated, and her headmistress urged her parents to take her to a specialist. So, because of this problem, obviously, when she is in the class, she is not able to hear what the teacher is saying. So, she was not able to pay attention in the class, and as she was not able to hear properly, her grades went down. And then her school headmistress asked her parents to get her checked by the specialist, though I guess the mother should have done it when she was 8. But she also ignored, and when she was 11, then it was discovered that her hearing was severely impaired as a result of gradual nerve damage. So it was her hearing was weakened, it was impaired. What was the reason? Because of the gradual nerve damage. So the parents took her to the doctor, and it was revealed finally that she has loss of sense of hearing. They were advised that she should be fitted with hearing aids and sent to a school for the deaf. So the doctor advised the parents that as she has to study, she has to move on with her life. They were advised that she should get hearing aids and should be sent to the school for the deaf, where they use sign language to teach deaf students. So hearing aids, as you all know, like it's an equipment that is fitted in the ear, and it helps a person to hear to some extent. Those who are suffering from hearing problem, they use hearing aids. Aids is the help, any kind of equipment that helps in hearing. Everything suddenly looked black, says Evelyn. So for Evelyn, for that 11-year-old girl, it was like came as a shock to her life when she discovered she could not hear, and she would be she would be sent to a school for deaf children, and she is not like other normal children. Her world became colorless. It turned black. Now, that means, when you suddenly get such bad news, which you don't expect, and that blackness is called, that blackness around you. When this is how, Evelyn responded to this news. But Evelyn was not going to give up. Give up means she's not going to lose heart. She will fight it. So this line shows that, Evelyn had determination. Though Evelyn was shocked to hear that news, but she was determined and she didn't give up. She was determined to lead a normal life and pursue her interest in music. Now, what an irony that this girl who was not able to hear, she was deaf, but her interest lies in music, and she was determined that she is going to pursue her interest in music. One day she noticed a girl playing a xylophone and decided that she wanted to play it too. So one day she was she observed that there was a girl who was playing a xylophone. Xylophone is a musical instrument, with a row of wooden bars of different lengths. And when she saw that girl playing xylophone, that desire came into her heart also, that she also wants to play it. And most of the teachers discouraged her, but percussionist Ron Forbes spotted her potential. So most of the teachers around her did discourage that you are deaf. How can you play any kind of music? But there was one person, Ron Forbes, who spotted her potential and who thought of encouraging her, and who is a percussionist, a person who plays the drum, the tabla, that, etc. A person who plays, you can say, different kind of musical instruments. And he spotted her potential. Potential is like the quality or the ability. Now, on one hand, Evelyn's teachers, discouraged her, but Ron Forbes thought that he's going to do something about that. He began by tuning two large drums to different notes. So what Ron Forbes did? Ron Forbes thought that he would teach Evelyn to feel music. Now there is a difference in hearing music and feeling music. What he did, he took two large drums and he turned them to different notes. And drums, as you all know, they are musical instruments. And the sound, he turned each drum to different notes. And both the drums made different sounds. Then he told Evelyn, what he told? Don't listen through your ears, he would say. Try to sense it some other way. Ron Forbes told Evelyn that as you cannot hear, but she was using her ears, he said that don't try to hear it with your ears. Discover yourself. Try to hear it from some other senses. Says Evelyn, suddenly I realized I could feel the higher drum from the waist up and the lower one from the waist down. And waist is, the middle part of your body. Now, as Ron had turned both the drums to different notes, the upper part of Evelyn's body, above the waist, could feel the higher notes of the drum, and the lower part of the body could feel the lower notes of the drum. Forbes repeated the exercise, and soon Evelyn discovered that she could sense certain notes in different parts of her body. Now, as Ron told Evelyn that she has to feel the music, not hear. So he helped her in listening to the music, or you can say feeling the music. So he just repeated that exercise, and Evelyn could sense different notes in different parts of her body. Evelyn, I had learned to open my mind and body to sounds and vibrations. The rest was sheer determination and hard work. So Evelyn here is saying that she was able to identify the sounds and the different vibrations. Now, once she could identify the sounds and vibrations, the hurdle had been overcome and Evelyn's career went upwards. And why it went upwards? Because of her determination to become famous, to become a good musician. And obviously, if you want to be successful, the only thing that requires is determination and a lot of hard work. She never looked back from that point onwards. She toured the United Kingdom with the youth orchestra, and by the time she was 16, she had decided to make music her life. So since the age of 11 to 16, all these things happened, and by the time she was 16, she was completely determined that she had to make her career in the field of music. And then she toured the United Kingdom also, that is London, with the youth orchestra. Orchestra is a group of musicians. Then came the turn in her life when she auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music and scored one of the highest marks in the history of the academy. So, getting admission in any of the universities, one has to give the exam. And audition is like when you have to give a short performance so that the director could decide whether the person is good enough for that or not. So she gave the audition in the Royal Academy of Music, and she secured one of the highest marks in the history of the academy. And no other person had scored such a high score as Evelyn did. She gradually moved from orchestral work to solo performances. Now, orchestral work is when so many people sing or work in an orchestra, and solo is when you have to perform single handedly, all alone. So, initially, Evelyn performed in a group of with a group of people. Then finally she decided that she'll be performing all alone. At the end of her 3-year course, she had captured most of the top awards, and she had achieved all the top awards by the time she had completed her 3-year course at Royal Academy of Music. Okay. And for all this, Evelyn won't accept any hint of heroic achievement. If someone says that Evelyn has done something great, she does not acknowledge that. She says that it's nothing great I have done. She is very humble and down to earth. And what she says, if you work hard and know where you are going, you will get there. So her determination and down to earth approach has led her to that pinnacle of success. And she got right to the top, the world's most sought after multi percussionist with a mastery of some 1,000 instruments and hectic international schedule. So, most sought after, matlab, most popular, in demand. So, Evelyn achieved her goal. She worked hard. She had an aim to become the topmost, the most famous, the most sought after, that is the in demand of the world, and she did that. She gained mastery of almost 1,000 musical instruments, and she is considered as one of the most popular multi percussionists of the world. And she has a very hectic schedule. That is, hectic is very busy schedule. She has programs and concerts all over the world. She is performing. She has become an international famous person. It is intriguing to watch Evelyn function so effortlessly without hearing. So it is, really fascinating and curious to see a deaf girl performing so effortlessly when she is not able to hear. In our 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word. Now, in our 2-hour discussion here, the author is a reporter who is, preparing a report on Evelyn Glenn by taking her interview. So here she is saying that in this report is of 2 hours. In her 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word. That means she was when the writer Deborah Colley, took Evelyn's interview, and it lasted for 2 hours, and Deborah says that Evelyn never missed a single word that she spoke. So she was quite attentive. Men with bushy beards give me trouble. She laughed. Evelyn, says that those men who have long, huge, bushy beards give her trouble. Why do they give her trouble? Because when they speak, she cannot see their lip movement, as their lips are covered with the bushy beards. So she has just said this and laughing because, deaf people, they look at people and they identify what the other person is saying through lip reading. When the other person is saying, they look at the lips and try to read the words. So she's saying that people with heavy beards give her trouble because their lips are covered with their beards. It is not just watching the lips, it's the whole face, especially the eyes. Now, Evelyn says that, she does not only look at the lip movement of the person's face to make out what the person is speaking. She looks at the entire face. That means the entire expression of the face of the speaker makes Evelyn identify or know what the person is saying. She says that, the expression of the eyes helps Evelyn make out what the person sitting in front of her is saying. She speaks flawlessly with a Scottish lilt. Now, flawlessly is without any fault or mistake. So, Deborah is saying that Evelyn speaks without any mistake, and with what kind of accent? With the Scottish accent, as she belongs to Scotland. My speech is clear because I could hear till I was 11, she says. Now, the one question arises that a child who is deaf, how can she speak so effortlessly? Because she could not hear. But she was so here. Evelyn says that her speech is clear. She is giving the reasons why her speech is clear, because she was able to hear clearly till she was 11. So that is the reason she has given for her clarity of speech. But that doesn't explain how she managed to learn French and master basic Japanese. So after becoming deaf, Evelyn also learned, two new languages. What were they? French and basic Japanese. So one wonders that how could she learn these two new languages despite her deafness? As for music, she explains, it pours in through every part of my body. It tingles in the skin, my cheekbones, and even in my hair. So here Evelyn explains, that how she identify music. It creates sensation in her skin, in her cheekbones, and even in her hair. So every part of Evelyn's body responds to music. It's not just about ears. It's her entire body, entire part, her skin, her cheekbones, her hair. They all respond to music. When she plays the xylophone, she can sense the sound passing up the stick into her fingertips. So, xylophone, as I told, it's a musical instrument. She uses sticks and she can sense the vibrations of the sound produced by the xylophone pass through the sticks up to her fingertips. By leaning against the drums, she can feel the resonances flowing into her body. By leaning against the drums, when Evelyn, plays the drums, as she can play multiple music instruments. So it's when she plays the drum, she leans towards the drum and she can feel the echo flowing into her body. On a wooden platform, she removes her shoes so that the vibrations pass through her bare feet and up her legs. So whenever Evelyn she performs on a wooden platform and she removes her shoes so that she can feel the vibrations of the musical instrument pass through the floor into her feet and up her legs. That is how she feels the sound of the musical instruments. Not surprisingly, Evelyn delights her audiences. In 1991, she was presented with the Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year award. And Evelyn, as you know, has become so famous. She has been given so many awards, and in the year 1991, she was presented with this award, that is Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year award for performing solo. That means she performed all alone. Says master percussionist James Blades, God may have taken her hearing, but he has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear, she feels far more deeply than any of us. That is why she expresses music so beautifully. So there is description of another musician who is James Blade, who is a master percussionist, and his words are the ones that we read before the beginning of this chapter. And according to him, what he is saying, that God took away Evelyn's hearing ability, but in return he gave her a strong power of sensing sounds, which enabled her to become a great musician. Evelyn confesses that she is something of a workaholic. Now, who is a workaholic? A workaholic is a person who wants to work all the time, who finds it difficult to stop working. And she is, as we have read earlier also, that she is really hardworking and that has paid. I have just got to work, often harder than classical musicians. Now, to be at par with those people who can hear, who are classical musicians, Evelyn has to work harder, but the rewards are enormous. And obviously, if you work hard, the reward is also big. Apart from the regular concerts, Evelyn also gives free concerts in prisons and hospitals. Now, as she has achieved so much now, she's giving something back to the society. So what she does for that, apart from going to performing at the concerts, she gives free concerts in prisons and hospitals. For other concerts, obviously she is being paid, but for some social work, she performs free of cost in prisons and hospitals. That is part of charity that Evelyn does. She also gives high priority to classes for young musicians, and she is also taking classes for the young musicians who wants to become musicians when they grow up. Anne Richlin of the Beethoven Fund for Deaf Children says she is a shining inspiration for deaf children. They see that there is nowhere that they cannot go. Evelyn, is an inspiration for all. She's an ideal. So there is another person, Anne Richlin, who belongs to the Beethoven Fund for Deaf Children, says that Evelyn is an inspiration for those children who cannot hear. She goes and performs there also. She takes classes there also. And when they got to know Evelyn's story, they feel that they can accomplish everything. So she is an inspiration for all those people. Evelyn Glenn has already accomplished more than most people twice her age. So we can see the success rate of Evelyn, that she has achieved what others cannot achieve, what other normal people cannot achieve, double of her age. She has brought percussion to the front of the orchestra and demonstrated that it can be very moving. So orchestra, as we all know, is a group of people who play different musical instruments, and she gives, percussion instruments have come in front of the orchestra and demonstrate can be very moving. She has given inspiration to those who are handicapped, people who look to her and say, if she can do it, I can. And not at least, she has given enormous pleasure to millions. So Evelyn's story is definitely an inspiration to all those people who are physically disabled. They feel that if Evelyn can achieve her dreams, even they can. And Evelyn has given a lot of pleasure to her audience by playing such good music. So students, what we have read that the author, as we have seen, that's an interview-based article written by Deborah. Deborah is a journalist who took her interview that lasted for 2 hours, and from that interview she has written this article on Evelyn Glenn. And as you can see that Evelyn Glenn has been an inspiration for so many young musicians, for so many people with disabilities, and she is still inspiring all those people and doing great in her life. Okay. Thank you. प्लीज ऐसे ये गलत न्यूज़ मुझे नहीं सुनाना।
मैं बोल दूँगी, क्या कर सकते।
तूने डिलीट कर दिया लगता
नहीं, मैंने को डिलीट नहीं किया भाई, तेरे सामने ड्राइव में आ रहा था ना। अच्छा, रमज़ान ना मुझे और स्ट्रॉन्ग बना रहा है। अब मेरे लिए ना आसान हो रहा है इस चीज़ को लड़ना, क्योंकि पता रहते रहते ना साथ में रहने में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है। मैं पता भूल जाऊँ, एकदम इस चीज़ से निकल जाऊँ, पर कचवेड़ तो मच जाती है। मुझे लगता है हर रोज़ मेरे घर में धंधों वालों की बात होती है, मुझे गंदा लगता है, मनूसियत लगती है रमज़ान के महीने में। लेकिन
नहीं बेटा, उस चीज़ से निकलने के लिए भी कभी कभी होता ना, गंदगी से निकलने के लिए,
क्योंकि मतलब मुझे आयुष ने, इनफैक्ट कीचू ने भी बहुत ही स्ट्रिक्टली कहा है कि एकदम नहीं बात करनी है, बट कभी बार
नहीं, अब ऐसा भी नहीं होता ना कि अंदर ही अंदर हम रगड़ खा रहे हैं और बात नहीं कर रहे
हाँ,
हैं।
नहीं मतलब डिस्कशन एग्जामिशन
ऐसा कोई हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल नहीं है कि नहीं करनी है, जब ज़रूरत है तब करनी है। ऐसा नहीं होता है कि बिल्कुल भी नहीं करनी है, मरे जा रहे हैं, कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रही है लेकिन नहीं, बात नहीं करनी है, ऐसे नहीं होता है। इतना कोई स्ट्रिक्ट रूल नहीं होता, जब ज़रूरत है तब करनी है, जब नहीं ज़रूरत है नहीं करनी है, ख़त्म। अब हो गई बात, ख़त्म, आगे बोलो जवान। उसको ढूंढ, मुझे नहीं पता,
नहीं हुआ है सेव, आई एम सॉरी।